let's talk handlebars. A simple thing that I'm usually the most excited about, because every bike that I do, I seem to try a different set, so it's always exciting. It's always new. So this time, fucking packing peanuts. Okay. Well, I got these from Dodge City Cycles, and I believe this is their Daytona bend. Really affordable bar. 7/8 chrome. And I'll leave a link below, that way you guys can see the bend and the dimensions of them. I know inside here we got a set of grips. We're going to try these out. So yeah, reasonably low, not too tall. They have a decent amount of pullback to them. Should be pretty comfortable. Let's get them on the bike. We're just mocking these things up for now, because I do need to actually mock up the controls, and I am planning on internally wiring these bars. Now, overall they are 29 inches wide. I prefer a little bit wider of a bar. I think these are going to do the trick. Yeah, that should fit well. That should fit well. I like it. Now with these bars, I did buy a set of grips, and these are kind of like the vintage Honda style, but we have a problem. I got these before I realized that I had the exact same thing that are pre-aged and pre-loved. So dug these things out of the parts inventory, and you know what? I don't think I can bring myself to put a new, perfectly shiny grip on this old bike. This thing's gonna have a lot of patina on it, so I think these things are actually going to be the trick. They're actually a lot softer, but they look the part. They're gonna look right at home on this thing. I mean, the bars are gonna be the shiniest piece of real estate on here. So along with just a new set of tires, other than that, you know, some new cables and stuff like that, but it will still look like an old bike. So kind of weird. You guys might think I'm crazy, but we're gonna go with the old grips. So here I'm actually taking the ignition switch that came with the bike. It had been extended, and I want to go ahead and kind of modify it and do my own thing with it. So I'm actually taking this opportunity to detin the actual wires from the switch housing itself, and then I'm going to reinstall my own ones and make a modification or two. So that's just kind of what I'm doing here, is just getting this thing all ready. Alright, we have the terminals desoldered, and the one I'm going to leave off is the secondary taillight 2. That's this position right here. That's the park feature, and I generally just don't like the park feature. All it does is join into this one, which is running your taillights, and you can take the key out, and then there's just greater potential to drain your battery. So I'm going to forego that one, replace it with all nice new wiring. It'll be good to go. And then here I am actually just resoldering on new wire. Now I'm going to link below where I source my wire from. This is all TXL stuff I get from 4R Customs. Real high quality, and you can see I can use just like a larger gauge main power input and output. So I really prefer this stuff. We're going to keep it simple again, not using the park feature, so we're just going to have 4 wires on this thing. And eventually I might modify it even more. That should be long enough. Why spend 20 bucks on an ignition switch from China when you can rebuild the stock one and make it as good as new for like, I don't know, parts and labor like $4,000, you know? Pfft, stonks. Well, next up, I need to turn my attention to the controls. Now, the right side doesn't look so bad. Kill switch feels okay, but I'd like to disassemble this side completely, clean all the terminals, rebuild it, possibly just go ahead and replace all of the wire, re-solder stuff on there. We'll figure that out as we go. But the left side, I'm trying to remember if this actually came with this particular bike or not. So, kind of in rough shape. I think this might have came off an original like a 74 something I had in the past, and I might have just cut this. I don't know. I don't know if this one came with this bike, but regardless, we're gonna have to address this situation, and I will likely just go ahead and rewire everything as well. So I have all new wiring, and pretty simple, straightforward. I say that, it's not really actually that simple or straightforward. You just have to be really careful. But yeah, go ahead and disassemble these things and make them work a little better. They're a little clunky. So set up the time lapse. Now, I showed this on part 2 of that last CB750 diagnosis video. Your ignition power has to pass through these two terminals right here. And if you have dirty contacts like that, as most of these do with age, that's bad for your ignition. It's gonna be a poor running bike. So that has to go through that little brass contact there. So once everything gets cleaned up, we'll be in a lot better shape. Luckily, I think I can clean up all these solder joints and just keep the wiring. I might end up redoing this in the future, but I think all this looks good enough to just save. Again, cleaning, we'll clean all the contacts. I'll put it all back together, test it, should be good to go. Clip the ends off, strip them down just a little bit, put a little bit more solder on here so it's fresh wire, fresh solder. All the terminals are cleaned up. It's time to reassemble. Good. tricky, but you can get it. Switch feels good. Now admittedly, this part is definitely tricky, so I apologize if you can't really see what I'm doing. Okay, that went really well. Alright, we have made progress here. All new wiring, all new solder connections. Basically, I'm down to 3 wires here. That's just for the turn signal controls, and what I have deleted is the running light function. So that gets rid of a few wires. New wire for the horn, clean up the contact there, reassemble, and then of course the headlight control, high-low. Disassembled this fully, re-greased, cleaned the contacts. The backside was very disgusting, but good to go now. And then the only wire color I didn't have was the brown with red stripes. I'm just going to use a brown. But other than that, all is ready to go back together. It'll be a little precarious to kind of start assembling it and then play with the different heat shrink and stuff and get it set up, but we'll get it done. just clean up the bulbs and then the harness for the indicators here. Got this all back together, and finally, time to put on the bars for good. We got the bars on here, we have the brake master cylinder, everything in the front end is rebuilt, fresh, ready to go. And now we need to finish up the front end. And to do that, we got a smorgasbord of parts. So I went back to 4-in-1 here, and I've got all new brake lines. The ones that were on the bike were really dry cracked. Didn't get so lucky this time, but 2 new throttle cables just so I have the right size, tack and speedo cable, and then a clutch cable. I also kind of geeked out. I wanted a seal beam with that rounded bulb to it. So got a new headlight and then all the trim rings and stuff like that. So just going to work on slapping all this on the bike, and it should start looking just like completely done the front end, save for a fender, which I have a lead on one. I'll get it eventually. Alright guys, well that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys liked it. I hope you found it informative. If you have any questions though, please leave them below. I'll do my best to get back to you. And yeah, check the description. I always try to link as much as possible, whether it be previous episodes or all the parts I use, you know, that kind of thing. So the previous episode was doing the brakes, wheels, tires, and forks, so check that out if you haven't seen it. Get caught up on the whole build series or the revival series. But anyway, again, I hope you guys like this one, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.